Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Girls Talk Rock, where the musician's creativity finds its voice. And here are your hosts, Tracy Smith and Beth Venus.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, it's December, it's everything, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you do.
That's right.
Happiness
Break out
to
the dreidels.
Break it out, that's what we're saying. Hey, I'm Beth Venus.
I'm Tracy Smith, and we are Girls Talk Rock.
How you doing this Wednesday evening?
Awesome. Today, Beth, who do we have? Amazing guest.
We do. We have Shele Sondheim, and we just want to introduce a little bit about Shele and let you know, a guitarist, a pop songwriter, music producer, lyricist, vocal arranger. It goes on and on. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about how you can get Shele in your life.
That's right. We all need a little Shele in our life.
But we do want to introduce Shele because we have Shele online right now. Hey, Shele, welcome to Girls Talk Rock.
Well, hello, girls. How are you?
We are doing fantastic.
Here in the sunny
so nice to connect with you, Tracy and Beth. You're so gracious to spend a little bit of time talking together with me. I think that all of us are in California, so we send our very best wishes to those people who are not in California and maybe freezing, right?
Yeah,
and
we're
maybe
dealing
cold,
with weather.
maybe snowing.
Yes, our producer Paul's in Chicago, so, you know.
So we have Florentino here today.
We do. We have a fill-in.
You know, and we talk about the fact that we don't deal with a lot of weather here in Southern California. It was a little chilly. I have a sweater on in the studio, ready to go.
I was thinking about bringing my Snuggie because it is pretty chilly.
She's a snug. I can see you with a snuggly.
Snuggie.
That Snuggie seems to fit.
I think that all the people in Carlsbad and La Jolla and San Diego, where you are wearing Snuggies and mufflers.
Sure.
Right?
A little bit.
I'm sure, and beach shorts.
All right,
but anyway, it sure is great to chat with both of you, and I want to thank you so much for your nice communication, digging in, finding out a little bit about CSM Words and Music and some of the activities that we're doing throughout the states and around the world. I'm looking forward to sharing some of that with your listeners. And tell me, what would you like to start with?
Well, we want to know who is Shele Sondheim and what is CSM, so we can start there.
Okay, well, Shele Sondheim's a human being, and
awesome.
First and foremost,
and working on that the very most. I'm a songwriter, music producer, music business entrepreneur, fundamentally a guitar player. Started off all with the guitar. And we have a wonderful website at csmwordsandmusic.com. And I know there's been a lot of promotion that you two have been so kind to do on Facebook and Reverb Nation. And I've just seen tons of social media press about our interview today, so I want to thank you for that. So it's pretty easily researched. Shele, S-H-E-L-E, Sondheim, S-O-N-D-H-E-I-M, csmwordsandmusic.com.
Perfect.
And fundamentally, we are we're a music production publishing company that works primarily with emerging artists throughout the states and around the world. That's been the core focus over the past decade and a half. Prior to that, a lot of work as a guitar player, touring around the world with celebrities. Went to the Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we want to talk about that, too. Like, we're going to talk about your education. We're going to talk about what you're doing and what we can bring people in. But we really, before we break into that and spread out too thin, what you said earlier just in that phrase really caught me. And that was it all began with the guitar.
Yes.
And, you know, that was your stepping stone for your career in music. After that, you decide this is going to be my livelihood. This is going to be my life's calling. What was the next step in music being your career? The next step past playing guitar, was it production or publication? Like, where did you go from there? What was the first building block of Words and Music?
Well, it's a very, very strong question and so relevant. You know, it really did start with guitar. You're jamming with the band in the junior high school in the garage on Friday nights and having guitar lessons. Great mentors, teachers such as Jorge Strunz from Strunz and Farrar, Les McCann, John Handy. I got very lucky and had a lot of great friends who helped me to try to learn music. And, you know, I emulated all my all my idols, Carlos Santana, George Benson, John McLaughlin, Jimi Hendrix. I had one big problem, though, and I'll tell you the big problem. I didn't know what I was doing. Now, I could jam. We could pull out the wah-wah. I could have the afro. I could funk out forever, but I had no idea. I didn't know a sharp from a flat from a whatever. So that meant it was time to go to college.
Good
Right.
man.
Awesome.
Hold on.
We are.
Thank
Because
you. We support
education
that.
is amazing.
Education.
Is everything.
And I went to college, and again, not really so deeply aware of the importance of the mentor-disciple relationships. I had good teachers, and I hung on to them. And there was a very important man who was still an icon at San Francisco State University, John Handy, the famous jazz alto saxophone player. Still teaching there, still kind of running the Bay Area. Wonderful, wonderful human being who helped me and my parents understand that there is a college in Boston called Berklee.
Nice.
And, I was failing miserably because the school was teaching me classical music, and then I'd go to my dorm and put on Weather Report and Herbie Hancock and
there you go.
Santana. And so there was a real disconnect.
Right.
Well, I finally was able to convince my parents to allow me to go to Berklee for a summer session. And that's where it started. And I can't tell you that a career really started, Beth. I believe you asked, what was the stepping stone? But what really started was the motto that Berklee had, and they might still have it at this time, careers in music.
Yeah,
right. And I learned that, you can be an arranger, you can be an orchestrator, you can be a music teacher, you can be a music therapist. Well, at least now you can be a music therapist.
Yeah, now it's
Right.
a
You could be
trend,
an engineer, you could be a manager, you could be a guitar player. And so it opened my head. And I basically just lived in that school for 5 years. I mean, I don't even think I slept for 5 years. It was 5 years of intensive Boston, Berklee College of Music.
Awesome.
And being surrounded by other, musicians is something that I think a lot of people underestimate the power of that network when you're in college.
That's right.
And how that really changes the way you learn.
And full immersion,
The full immersion of being around students with different desires and different goals, and maybe that's changing as you're in school. So when you went to Berklee,
that's exactly what happens. You said it exactly.
Yeah, you change. You're like, I'm going in for this. I'm going to be this bad mamma jamma XYZ, and then you get that golden course where you meet this teacher that changes your life, or maybe a few teachers that change your life.
Right.
Did you have that change in trajectory when you were over at Berklee?
I absolutely did. I found out quite quickly that I was not going to be Van Halen.
Nice.
Not that
That's such a bad thing, but I learned that no matter what, I was not going to end up being Van Halen.
Cool.
But what I was somebody that was diligent and inventive and strategic, if you want to use those big fancy words, in creating success in my own lane. I had a jazz fusion band with vocals, kind of emulating the Gino Vanelli, Santana, Herbie Hancock jazz fusion, this sort of thing. It was very popular at that time in music. And so we created our own success. We were the first band to ever put our feet on the stage of the now famous Berklee Performance Center, selling it out at 1,226 seats, the very first band.
Nice.
And we represented the college all throughout New England. We were at the Village Gate in Manhattan. We were on television for Berklee, and the transformation really came in the brief breaks. I would go see my mother and father. My dad at that time lived in the Bay Area. My mom lived in Las Vegas. Now, I'll tell you, when you're freezing and you're a student in Boston and you go to Vegas for a week over Christmas holiday, and there are casinos, and there are showgirls, and there's a pool, and there's lots of lounges, it's very inviting. So the day I graduated, I moved to Las Vegas.
That was that.
Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. Right.
Now, hang on a second, because that Lola was my client.
There you go. See, that's
that was
how you
my
break
first
in.
boss.
Oh, nice.
We're going to talk about that, Lola Falana. What a tremendous woman. That was my very first professional job.
Awesome. That is so cool.
Well, it's one of those things. So you wanted to go right into performance, and that was something that you were really compelled to be part of right away, and like to throw yourself in a city like Las Vegas, it's a really competitive market.
Totally.
People who aren't in the music industry, even people who are really cavalier sometimes about saying, well, I'm just going to go and I'm going to go be a professional musician in Las
I'm going to go be a
Vegas.
star.
It's a really competitive world. So when you went out there, did you find yourself doing a lot of like jazz standards, variety, R&B? And did you find yourself having to really fit into some really pigeonhole yourself in order to work? Or did you just like throw yourself in as a session or union guy and say, like, I'm just going to work?
Well, let me be truthful in our interview today that I found myself at the blackjack table with about $9 trying to get the phone bill together.
There you
So
go.
that was the reality of my first year in Las Vegas. And it was very confusing for me because I was a star graduate from Berkeley. I could read and write. I had a star jazz fusion band. I moved out with the singer of our band. Really, I had my gear and a tux and everything right by the door, ready to go. And I had no fortune. I had no fortune whatsoever. I had the chops. I had the initiative, but I had no fortune in the depths of my life. And that's when things really changed for me. I did go to the Union a lot, sit in. I went from the very top of the Strip, Tropicana Hotel at that time, to downtown, Binion's Horseshoe, and went up and down trying to get a gig. Well, I couldn't even get a graveyard duo country and western shift on Boulder Highway. I mean, I had no fortune whatsoever.
So I'm sure you're going to tell us what happened.
Things changed for me because I was introduced to Buddhism, and I started to chant. I heard about this Buddhism when I was in junior high school. I heard about it in high school. I heard about it in San Francisco. I lived with my roommate in Boston who chanted, and I said, that's all cool, guys. You chant. I'm going to practice guitar. Yeah. But when I got to Las Vegas, after a year of having nothing, that same friend who introduced me to this beautiful practice, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, who's unfortunately passed away now, but he said, hey, you've tried everything else. Why don't you just try this and see what happens? Yeah. Now, I started chanting, and 3 weeks later, I got my first gig, and it turned into be the Lola Falana World Tour.
Oh my God!
What a contrast!
Well, we have to know what happened there, right? I mean, Beth, that's the question.
What a contrast in your efforts. Do you think it's because you were so much more relaxed and open to what the world was giving you that transcended into your auditions?
I'd love to say that I was keyed in, Beth, but I feel that it was. I was just far too arrogant and too confused. I just thought, well, it's because of all the work I've done, right? And because I'm so good. But, it really over time, and as I've been practicing now this practice 35 years, I've come to learn that really there are cause and effect is a very, very strict principle in life. And so I had made the causes professionally to get a gig, but somehow there was something in my life that needed to dig deeper, a different kind of humanism, a different kind of connection with people. Yep. I was always good with people, but something really changed when I started to chant. But I wouldn't really attribute it to the chanting. Now, I'll tell you a funny story. We go on the road. First gig ever. My mom rented me a tux for $60 or whatever. I fly to Minnesota. I've never met Lola Falana. I just got called by her manager who said, da-da-da, you want the gig, da-da-da. It pays $700. And I said, I don't need that a month. He goes, a week. I said,
wow.
You're kidding me.
You're like, oh, gosh, I should be quiet. Oh,
that's the first words. Don't ever say I don't need it. Say, absolutely, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
So I fly out to Minnesota. We worked at Minnesota St. Paul. They have a circle theater in the round. Yeah. It was called Premier Theater there.
Beautiful.
I had never met anybody. So I landed at the airport. I made my way to the theater. They were all strangers to me. I just sat up, set my stuff up, my funky wah-wah, and my cool Les Paul. Sight read the show that night.
Good man.
And for the first 2 or 3 nights, she didn't even introduce me. It was as if I was a ghost.
Nice. You were the help.
I said to one of the, when the show was over, well, where do we sleep? Or do we just stay here till the next show? And he said, no, everybody's got their own rooms, but you can room with me. He says, but I got to tell you something. All day long, I warm up. I said, oh, that's cool. I practice all day. He goes, okay, but I got another one. All day long, I chant. So you chant? Oh, my gosh, that's incredible. And
that's serendipitous that you had somebody
the universe tends to bring people together and put people in your inner circle that are of like mind and like body and like thought.
You know, this was such a generous guy to let me room with him. He was one of Cher's dancer and one of the troupe on Solid Gold, if you remember that show.
Oh, I love Solid Gold.
Juba St. Jive, or Warren Lucas, and I believe his wife was one of the choreographers.
Awesome.
This is way pre-Dancing with the Stars stuff.
Yeah.
So Juba allows me to come. You know, we're chanting together, and the second or third night into the gig, Lola pulls everybody in the dressing room and says, okay, sorry, got an announcement for you. I'm quitting show business.
Holy
This
wow.
is it. This is our last gig. And so everybody, when you get back to Vegas, you got to get gigs. And, you know, sorry, and have a nice life.
Oh, and you're like, wow.
I just got here.
I was,
I should have went to the party.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe what happened.
Right.
So I'm calling my friend back in Vegas and saying, hey, this chanting doesn't work. And what did you get me into? And so on and so forth. But we're still chanting, Juba and I.
I love it.
So a couple days after that big announcement, Lola pulls us into the dressing room like the sixth or seventh night of the engagement, says, and there's this guy standing next to her, and, you know, this other kind of official-looking guy. She says, okay, well, I've changed. I'm staying in show business. Wayne Newton has just bought the Aladdin Hotel, and we have a contract for 20 weeks. As soon as we get back, 20 weeks booked at the Aladdin.
Awesome.
I said,
Well, at least you know where your paycheck's coming from for the next 20 weeks.
But, you know, in a way, do you think that prepared you? You know, it really sets the stage for something we were talking about before the show, Tracy and I. And that is when you're working with musicians, whether it's in an academic format, a performance format, or even behind the scenes, you're working with a lot of very dramatic people.
Oh, yeah, drama.
And, you know, for better or for worse, right? And I think what we want to do when we come back from the break, we got about a minute before we go to break here, I want to have you share with us, because there's a story like that, those big announcements, and then, no, that's changing, and now I'm doing this.
Wait a minute.
And
oh, yeah, hold on.
is it Friday? Oh, I thought the show was Saturday.
Yeah,
working with artists is such a skill in itself. And it sounds like you have got that down to a good common denominator. We want to find out what that is when we come back after the break, right, Tracy?
Yeah, and for the last 30 seconds here, give us a shout out, just 30 seconds, to a mentor that you absolutely want to say thank you for everything.
First and foremost, is going to become my dad.
There you go.
My father, Shele Sondheim.
Wow. All right, hold that thought, because we're going to first commercial break here in 6 seconds. 6 is my lucky number.
We're here with
so
Shele Sondheim. We're Girls Talk Rock. It is December. It is the holidays. We'll be back with Shele Sondheim. We're going to talk about working with musicians on the production and in print and shows and everything else that he's doing in education, of course.
That's right.
So we'll be back really soon.
And of course, third segment, we're going to talk about distribution and everything else. So we will be back with Shele in 2 minutes.
Hold tight.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
And Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the Intertalk Radio Network.
every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all at
It's all that.
SilverTigerProduction.com.
Welcome to Girls Talk Rock, where the musician's creativity finds its voice. And here are your hosts, Tracy Smith and Beth Venus.
And I am Tracy Smith.
I'm Beth Venus.
And we are Girls Talk Rock right here on the entertainment. God, can I
You
say?
can do it. You can,
Can I
do
do
it.
it?
You can do it.
Intertalk Radio Network. Oh my God.
Gosh, everybody tune in all the time. We're online right now with Shele Sondheim, and we were talking about you've got this great career, and everybody's going to want to connect with you so they can get a little piece of the pie of what you've pulled together. But you started off as a guitarist. You have a degree from Berklee College of Music, and went to make your fortune in Las Vegas. And you were telling us about a wonderful time with Lola Falana. I love just saying her name.
I know, right?
Which it looks like introduced you to working with Wayne Newton, Roy Clark, Flip Wilson, Paul Anka. You were just the man.
Yeah, so I want to know, how do you get to be the man? That's my question.
You know, I think having, again, that kind of fortune to have a great opportunity with Lola Falana, who was a tremendous mentor, who really showed me so much about show business and entertainment business. And we traveled around the world together for the course of almost 5 years. And that having the sort of prominent position like that in Las Vegas, and I hustled all the time. So if I could substitute for a guitar player or sit in at the Union or do the Lido de Paris or the Hallelujah Hollywood show, we had our Top of the Dune showcases at that time, the Maxim showcases. My group, our hang was a hustling group, and we worked for the Las Vegas Convention Center and all of their corporate functions. And it was 28 hours a day, 7 days a week working. It just constantly working. But I came to a fork in the road. And the fork in the road, with the experience of working with so many artists and whatnot, as a performer, the Police came out, Echo and the Bunnymen, Berlin.
Yes, all the delicious stuff.
Songs. And here I was in Vegas playing the same 9 songs every show, every day.
Right.
It didn't really matter with who. It was all the same 9 songs.
Same standards, yeah.
And so I decided I came to that fork in the road that I really wanted to develop my path as a writer, as a songwriter, producer. And so I left Las Vegas at the height of what was a good working career and came back to Los Angeles, where I was raised, with the goal to immerse myself in the new technology that was coming out, MIDI and digital audio workstations. I went back to college and got a master's certificate in electronic music production and started the songwriting thing, and came to learn that the new dynamic was not the band anymore and the singers and the strings and the horns. It was me and a good guy on a computer with a hot session singer. That was the band.
Right.
And we could do pretty much everything. So and I dug into Jammin' Lewis and Teddy Riley and Diane Warren and Glenn Ballard and all of the great songwriting teams that were really dominating music throughout the 90s and it well into the 2000s. It's, of course, still so prominent now, but that was a real turning point for music and musicians that band in the box, one guy in front of a computer, early Pro Tools, early, Cakewalk, early technology allowed us to do a lot of things that used to be like, okay, I need me, the truck, and those 40 guys. Otherwise, we can't sound good.
Well, it's a really big change. Are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay,
listen.
I thought I saw something spinning. It's interesting that you bring that up because that is always an issue we talk about with most of our artists, whether they are a international touring artist or a regional artist.
Yeah.
And that is the use of tracks or triggers.
Totally.
And electronic.
Whether to hire that band member or to use that track.
What
That's
to
the
do,
question.
whether you're on tour, whether you're playing on a venue stage, whether you're doing a big showcase. Do you feel like you've found that medium that works for still the feel of a live show while still allowing to have some produced elements involved in bringing live music to an audience?
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit, I think, probably in the third segment, because we're going to talk about really where technology and music have evolved together as partners.
Right.
And I think that
not for everybody, but
we're seeing a lot of
who
this
want to move on. Yeah.
Right.
Electronic dance music, and there's some very specific things that we're doing that really combines the live players and live musicians along with the blazing programmers and killer editors and just whiz kids that can do most of it on their phone, much less get to a studio with Pro Tools.
It is so funny because we have more on our phone now than we would ever imagine 20 years ago.
But I do agree with the masters, Tommy Mottola, Clive Davis, as we go down the list, Quincy Jones, who will always remind us that it has to start with a song.
That's right.
You have to have a song. You have to have a lyric. You have to have a melody. You have to have some changes or a beat or something. But the song is the king and queen.
That's
and
right.
so it doesn't matter that you can master the technology without the song and, of course, the performance, the singer. Those two things absent makes for a very empty soundscape. And so I just found that for myself, it was a decade. The 90s was an entire decade of digging in and learning how to write and produce songs. And the trade-off for that, which I'd like to be proud to share with our audience today and encourage the young people as well as other people, that the trade-off for me was to get a job in order to fund this demo habit and this studio habit.
Right.
I like the demo and studio habit.
and I expanded my capacity by getting involved in some other companies and some other businesses, all that could allow me to still pursue music as 100%, but at the same time have a job. And they're usually sales jobs. I had a transportation company. I had some very interesting experiences over the course of that decade, earning a living. But at one point, I'm married. I'm married now 23 years. My wife had said to me at that time, you got to make the music happen 100%. And there was something that, this is when Idol came out and X Factor came out and America's Got Talent came out. And so, how long can you hear no on Sunset Boulevard? I wasn't selling any of my songs. And I thought, well, there's got to be a Britney Spears and a Nickelback and an Evanescence and a Jay-Z in Belgium and in Sweden and in South Africa. And so I started to travel internationally. And this is what changed. I was able to gain clients, young artist clients who sought the kind of professional expertise that I could bring to write and produce songs and to help them to build their careers, and got involved with talent organizations. One, in fact, is based here in Hollywood called the World Championship of Performing Arts, founded by a wonderful man, Griff O'Neill, and his great staff Judy and Gwen and Chuck and Scotty. And they started off very small and has now become a global international talent event where 5,000 talents from 150 countries come to Los Angeles each year to compete. So these kinds of things, going to Meetum in the south of France, going to Popcom in Berlin when it existed, now Reeperbahn, going to South by Southwest, I started realizing that for the 3 or 4 that went on Idol, there's 40,000 that auditioned. And there's got to be some people in that 40,000 that need songs.
That's right.
And it was my job to go find it. And that's what I've been doing for the last decade and a half.
Well, and we know it all starts with creativity from the actual artist. I mean, you have to be a musician first. You have to be a creative individual in order to be able to write music and then to bring it to the masses and to give it to somebody else to bring to the masses. So that's what we wanted to talk about as far as the business aspect of that. So how did you get into distribution is my question. Let's move to that.
Okay, well, when we talk about distribution, I'd like to use the word global networking.
Right.
Because it changed for me when I opened the playing field worldwide. So going to the south of France to the Medium event for 15 years in a row, meeting the entire music industry, from South Korea and from Japan and from Belgium and from Sweden and from Eastern Europe, I made tremendous connections learning about the international music industry.
Right.
How to publish and how to develop productions, collaborations with organizations, with production teams, with music export offices, with other trade shows and events, and a whole world opened up to me in terms of business and in terms of earning and in terms of learning. And so I think that there are today's opportunities for an independent or entrepreneurial artist to distribute or to promote or to be social, to really expand their audience through the platforms of Spotify and Reverb Nation and iTunes and their own site and the social media, Facebook and whatnot. The walls have been broken down in terms of a middle presence or a distributor, right, like a traditional record label distributor, either paying them to take you on or them taking you on under a deal. Right. That isn't the case today. The case today is really to have great songs and material and artist identity. The case today is to be actively engaged and involved in networking the world. And you can call it building fans or monetizing fans or just building a presence. Right. And I really believe the key to that is through education and through creative mentoring, which is a new platform that we've launched called the Youth Music Expo. Right. I'd like to talk a little bit about that.
Cool.
Well, it sounds like, you guys, and just like a lot of other businesses, it sounds like you've really been able to spider web into all the connected parts of the industry that, they kind of involve each other. And then you find that there's so much interest in it that you need to kind of like evolve there as well. Yep. Do you feel like it's made you have to hire and have a bigger staff and get better people around you? Or is this something that you still can integrate and just delegate on your own as a GM or a CO?
Right. It's evolved for myself and our company. We're an independent LLC company, okay? There have been different manifestations of owning a studio in Los Angeles and having, more staff involved. I would like to say I got some very great guidance from, again, another mentor, Lee Burke, the president of Berklee College of Music, retired president now. Our current president is Roger Brown, who's taken Berklee all around the world in the master programs in Valencia and has built Berklee to just be the behemoth that it is. But my very good friend and mentor, Lee Burke, and his wife, Susan, have been in my life since the first day I got to that school. And one of the guidances that Lee gave me as he saw me starting to succeed in the mid 2000, that decade, was he said, Shele, it's great that you're doing this all in LA, but what you need to do is have a network every city you land in Berlin, in Geneva, in Zurich, in Stockholm. Everywhere you go, you need to have studio and colleagues to do this work. And that really lit a light bulb in my head and thought, this is what I need to do. I need to create my own army of talented colleagues. A lot of people from Berklee, a lot of people from SAE, from other high-level production facilities and studio partners, labels, friends, lawyers, managers, agents, publishers, distributors, as you say, live event folks, social media folks. So I felt it was more important for me to network and increase my net worth in terms of who's on my team than having, my usual 20 colleagues here in my neighborhood that we always do the same stuff together. And I still work with all those 22. They're my best friends. But I just expanded and in that way have really maximized our ability to connect with people in South Korea or in Belgium or in Amsterdam or in Germany and have our finger on the pulse of what people are doing there. in the Philippines, in South Africa, this kind of stuff. And that's what I think has been a very unique aspect of my own particular career growth.
Now, do you find it does everybody around the world have their own style of music, or do you think that they try and emulate Western music in their own creativity, in their own scenes?
Well, I think there are two types, good and not so good.
Right.
There you go.
So, and you can say it in a lot more gracious way, I think. There's professional, competitive materials, and that's the stuff that, you want to hear on a television show or film or sync or brand or commercial or an artist performance, an artist concert. And then there is the not so competitive. And that could be seeds, that could be demos, that could be people on their process, figuring it out, how to get a better song written and how to... Look, I turned 9-minute Lava Lamp Jethro Tull jams in A minor into a 3-minute Picasso. It takes time. It really takes time to learn how to write a verse and write a hook and, and understand the songwriting. And there are so many clues out there, so many keys to understand this. And largely, not only in the marketplace, but largely institutions like Berklee College of Music and Columbia College, which I'm the producer in residence there and have been for the past several years. There are all kinds of organizations that help young talent or emerging talent or aspiring talent or even proven talent to better their craft and to continue to learn how to write songs and produce songs. So, I don't think there's certainly there are styles. Yeah. I mean, for example, I got a wonderful contract to develop the pop stars in Eastern Europe. Kazakhstan, Belarus, Republic of Georgia. Our boys Too Cool won The Voice in Republic of Georgia, Russia. And so definitely there is another vibe that's going on in Eastern Europe than there is in Studio City or in Manhattan. And there's a different vibe that's going on in Stockholm, let's say, or Germany. Amsterdam, so heavily influenced by the electronic dance music masters, producers.
But she brings up a really good point in that the world is such a smaller place now. And so many young people and middle-aged people are reliant on the world of internet and connecting. And it's so quick to see what they're doing in other countries, in other parts of our country, so that there's a real kind of a connection. And I think I think timing has just been perfect because it's fallen in together.
And I actually think that the people from around the world, I think they are way more influenced on Western culture and Western music to be able because they know the United States is where to be when it comes to music. If you want to be heard, if you want to make a lot of money, if you want to become a big star, you have to have that, I think, Western edge to your music or your style, I think.
I think that Western perspective is really driving the market. Right. I absolutely agree with you. I think in terms of the other comment that you made, if I can be bold enough to share my own experience, I don't think that is not so much a requirement to earn a great living and be a highly paid singer.
I agree. Hey, we're going to
hold on one second.
Hold on to that thought. We're going to have our commercial break. Everybody here, we're with Shele Sondheim. Stay with us after the break and find out how you can get in touch and make it relevant in your career.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant Promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah!
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Welcome to Girls Talk Rock, where the musician's creativity finds its voice. And here are your hosts, Tracy Smith and Beth Venus.
Oh, you're listening to Girls Talk Rock on the Intertalk Radio Network. I'm Tracy Smith.
I'm Beth Venus.
We are Girls Talk Rock.
We're so wonderfully happy to have Shele
we are.
Sondheim with us.
Yes.
From Words and Music, csmwordsandmusic.com.
Yes.
We encourage you to check out and look at the website and check out what's going on with Shele Sondheim while we're on air, and really connect with what Shele Sondheim has to offer, because what an experience you have behind you, Shele. We're talking about, your history with pursuing education, which we applaud, because even though so many musicians can do a lot without, I am so prejudiced. I think you just do better with. So I love to hear that you went to Berkeley and
Totally.
then you continue to pursue more education, going through, coming back to California and teaching on at the Grove School of Music. You were at Grove School, yeah?
I attended Grove, but I've been the producer in residence, master producer, artist in residence at Columbia College, Chicago.
In Chicago. What a great place to be. And you have done so much on an international scale, getting into education and into formats where young people can...
And artist development.
Artist development, where young people can be seen and heard and try to get a step up in this wonderful industry of music. And, this has taken your career to a different level, working on an international scale and more in education and talent development, working as a producer and collaborating. But we were asking right before the end of the last break about where your publishing fits in with all that you've been doing from the time you started playing guitar. How did publishing get into all this?
Right.
Publishing came about as a matter of placing songs and placing tracks for me, not so much as with artists. I've yet to build that success to say that I had Celine Dion's #1 or Whitney Houston's #1 or the current Gaga hit.
Right.
Where I found my lane and my income was in placing songs in TV and film. And so I gained a wonderful contract with BMG to develop tracks for their library. I started getting placements, and I'd be watching NBA, and I'd hear my track. I'd be watching, I won't say the Playboy Channel. I wouldn't be watching the Playboy Channel. But things like Jenny Jones or, Judge Judy, or all of a sudden our sound became the sound of TV. And it never really made that much sense to me, because I was out there, as you say, working on a lot of artist development, wanting to discover and develop the next Celine Dion or Whitney Houston or Lady Gaga. But we were winning and getting a lot of placements. And so where it made sense to me was 4 times a year when I'd get the check from BMI. And I'd look at all of the placements of all of the shows in all of the countries and just go, that's just that's highway robbery, but I'll take it.
Right on.
And one of the things that I do want to share with you in terms of organizations and artist development, as you were talking about, both Tracy and Beth, is that some of the breaks that I've gotten have been very significant. For example, Phil Collins, he's a great songwriter. He's a wonderful human being and a superstar talent. But he has an organization called the Little Dreams Foundation.
Right.
I was enlisted and hired to develop one of his young bands that he had signed to EMI Capital Worldwide. And I actually wrote the song that became their #1 single. His protege, a young woman named Lika, Philippine girl, they came back to me to write her hit single and do her remixes. And so through that kind of opportunity of the Little Dreams Foundation, or International Committee of Artists for Peace is another mentoring, training, humanistic organization led by Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter and Carlos Santana with our mentor Daisaku Ikeda. Very cool. It's very much you've spoken about my emphasis in terms of educating, creative mentoring. It's very much an educational kind of mentoring platform with a beautiful I Choose. You can go onto the International Committee of Artists for Peace website and learn all about this. And these organizations that I've been diligently loyal to, and they have included me, the Hollywood Music and Media Awards, and these sorts of things helped me to crystallize our current plan, which is a creative mentoring platform called the Youth Music Expo. And the Youth Music Expo, if I can share briefly with our audience, is an awards program that is entirely philanthropic. We have discussions in the Philippines with our wonderful colleague Gracie and Van. We have discussions in Lagos, Nigeria, with Don and Baxter. We've taken it to Kazakhstan. We've presented it to Malaysia. We're talking to some of the Middle Eastern countries, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain. For this kind of Youth Music Expo is a creative mentoring platform that helps youth to build and sustain careers in today's modern music industry. Now, different than Idol and different than X Factor and different than America's Got Talent or Bahrain's Got Talent, it's not star building per se.
Right.
It really is opening up the paths of all of the careers, because not everybody's going to be Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift has 300 people around her working. So
that's right.
Some are labels, some are managers, some are lawyers, some are agents, some are social, some are engineers, some are, there's so many different career paths. And
it takes a team. Yep. The
Youth Music Expo is a platform that we have exclusively designed to help a body of youth from a country or from a city to go to meet them, to go to our academy in Sweden for Education and Immersion Week, to go to Berklee College of Music, to go to Columbia College of Music, and to do videos and to do sessions and to do remixes and to do live showcase at the Reeperbahn. It's all included in this awards program that is absolutely funded by philanthropic sources.
What a great resource for people. I wanted to say to our listeners right now, you can go to, you're talking about the opportunity of a lifetime, really, for youth. And that can be found at
that's our slogan.
csmwordsandmusic.com/YME/. You can go to the site. It is it's so exciting because it's something I've said to my students for years. And Tracy has heard me say this. You don't have to be the guy or the gal on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine to have a career in music.
You don't have to be the rock star.
You might be the one touring and just having a great time. Or, like you said, just doing the stuff, rolling. And there's so many different careers in music. Now, I know our listeners, and if I know all of our musicians are listening going, that's great. It's available for the kids. What do I do for me? How do I get involved in this?
I'm like 40. What do I do?
Well, and absolutely. But I think
that's the point of being a creative mentor, is that I'm not quite 40. I mean, that's really old. Someday when I get to 40, I guess I can speak more authoritatively. But I think that the possibility for artists at my level of experience, I do have several decades of experience working at what I would like to feel are some of the highest levels of show business and entertainment business and global music industry perspectives. It's very important for everyone to know, not just the 11, 12, and 15-year-old killer singers from the Philippines or Sweden, or the aspiring rockers in the 20s or the 30s. Everybody can function with a career in music, depending on what their lane is. And that's the whole point, is to find your own lane of success.
There you go.
So in other words, I'm never one to discourage a 50-year-old singer that I meet from Dubai or from Hong Kong that is, saying, well, I'm 50. Well, what can happen for me? It just really depends on what your lane is. And some are cruise ship singers, and they're making a tremendous living. Some are casual and corporate. I love Huey Lewis, and I know some of those guys in the band, and I know what they make. And I know that they're having a great time playing for, $100,000 a pop.
Having a great time.
Hewlett Packard. So I don't think they're complaining at all. Everybody's got their lane, and that's the point. Music is the ultimate ambassador. It's the ultimate friendship builder. It's the ultimate bridge builder. So it doesn't matter who you are, what country you're in. If you're walking through an airport and you've got your Les Paul guitar case, you're everybody's friend.
That's right.
Trust me.
They're going to come up to you every time. Oh, where are you going?
My son or my daughter or this or that, or I have a club. Or it's always a common denominator.
And you know what's so much fun about all that is we went to South Korea to visit my daughter because she's teaching English over there. Shout out to Rhea.
Yeah.
And as we were walking through the marketplaces and the airport and everywhere we went, there was a live little act on the corner. And I would stop to record it because I'm so much into music. And I would put the 30-second spot on my Facebook or whatever. And it was just amazing because people, my friends, were reacting back here like, oh, my God, they're really good. I love that. Oh, that's their own. Is that their own style of music there or whatever? And it was just, music is the international language. I mean, it brings everybody together, no matter what kind of music, no matter what's going on. Music is everything.
Well, I want to touch on that. Before we get to our Quattro questions, because our hour's gone by so quickly with Shele Sondheim, I want to make sure everybody knows that you can go to www.csmwordsandmusic.com to learn more about that. We also encourage you to go to World Stars Presents, the World Championship of Performing Arts. This is something Shele is really involved in, and you might want to get your students or your people involved, or try to get them involved in this. WCOPA 2017 is coming up July 30th through July 9th, 2017. You also want to check out something else Shele brought up, www.ldf.cc, which is the Little Dreams Foundation that you worked on with Phil Collins, and that's got a whole voluntary way to get involved on that site. And we also want to make sure you're introduced to the Youth Music Expo, which is at csmwordsandmusic.com/YME/.
But what I want to know is, what does CSM even stand for? Because I'm not sure that we've even said that. What is CSM?
It's the name of my publishing company called Catharsis Sondheim Music. And Catharsis was the jazz fusion band that we started at Berklee College of Music in 1976.
Excellent.
Oh, I like it. Mama, I like it.
We do.
Well, Shele, we've enjoyed talking to you, but now
it's time for the
Quattro questions.
And every person is a victim that's on our show. They have to do this. So we're just going to ask 4 basic questions. Then you just have to give us your first off the top of your head answer. We'll just see where your head's at. Is that good?
Okay. Oh, it'd be a pleasure.
Okay. What I would like to know, the first question is, what key signature are you?
A minor.
There you go.
Mama likes the minors. Maybe like the second inversion. Beautiful. Okay. So we also want to know if genres of music are islands, what island are you stuck on for the next 10 years? If you had to be.
Anything in the Caribbean.
Would it be 80s? Would it be the 90s? Would it be jazz standards?
What genre?
If you're stuck in that place for 10 years.
Even though I stopped smoking cigarettes a long time ago and I hate smoke, I'd like to be in every smoky jazz club with John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Tony Williams, and all those guys bashing it away.
Oh, I'm going there.
All right, my next question is, if you are any classical piece of music in history, which classical piece are you?
I would be all the odd time signature ones. Ravel, Stravinsky, the wacky ones. That would be me.
Awesome.
I like it. The funky time signatures. Try that as emphasize. 1E, 2E, 3, pumpy, wummy, lumby, right? I know.
Right.
She knows what
11,
I say.
12 over 16.
Kitty, cat, kitty, dog.
I know you guys are talking way above me, but,
I make up words all the time.
She is.
I do. Hey, and last but not least, but as for our Quattro questions, if you got to play with anybody now on a national tour, who would it be?
Herbie Hancock.
Love
there you
it.
go.
You already got all the right answers. We've got to
You
make sure
do.
we party with you.
Totally.
Shele, before we close out, do you have any shout outs you want to make sure our listeners have and they know how to reach you? I know I just gave out a bunch of those websites, but what do you want our listeners to know they can reach you at if they want to get involved with what you have to offer or any of the organizations that you work with?
Thank you so much. Well, I want to, first of all, thank you for such a focused and interesting interview. I really appreciate your spirit and your clarity, and I know that your audience really does as well. So I feel grateful and privileged to be part of this interview, and thank you so much for the time. As far as my own shout-outs and respect, it always comes back to those closest to me, my wife, my family, all the great professional colleagues and friends, particularly my mentors in life. I've spoken a little bit about the Buddhist practice, which is very, very dear and near to me. I spend time on a Saturday morning with my good friend Benny Maupin, the sax player from Herbie Hancock's group, chatting together and talking to other young people about their careers, guys who are at USC and whatnot. And so, what I would just like to leave our audience with is the availability and accessibility that I've made myself. When I reach up and reach people, and I do reach people all day long, it's my hope they reach back. It's my hope that they're available to hear my pitch or listen to my shtick or give me some guidance or point me in the right direction or build a bridge for me, knowing that I will do the exact same for others. And so what I'd like to share with your audience is my availability. Sondheim at csmwordsandmusic.com is the email. Skype is Shele Sondheim 1. It's pretty, I think all you have to do is Google in my name and you'll find how to find me. And I encourage any of your listeners that really are interested in the kinds of things that we're doing, or to share their own stories and how we might be able to help them as producers, of course. We're always looking for new clients that we can help in their process to write and produce songs, or if they'd like to know a little bit more about the Youth Music Expo. That's really our focus right now, is to find the proper financial partners to launch Youth Music Expo in the various regions that we're looking to do this. That's what I'm really focused in and determined to tell the story when we interview in 2017, that we've got Youth Music Expo running.
All right. Well, keep in mind you have 1 minute left. So what does 2017 hold in 1 minute?
In 1 minute, yeah.
In 1 minute. What does 2017 hold for Shele and CSM?
Total health, clarity, absolute breakthrough, overcoming challenges, being of service to people, absolutely demonstrating actual proof in life. And actual proof sometimes isn't always riding in on a white horse with all of the deals and the gigs and the money and the prestige that you've gained. Sometimes riding in the horse is being honest with others on what the challenge is and seeking answers for that. So I think being clear, transparent, of service to people, I think that road is the winner's path. And so that's what 2017 and hopefully every year is about for me.
Awesome. Like you bring such a white light to our sound waves and such good energy, and we wish nothing but the best back to you. I know what goes around doesn't always come around quickly, but I think with you it does, because you just reflect really just a lot of joy, and that's what we love to have here coming on at the station, and something that honestly, we could use a little bit more of in the industry. So it's just very infectious to hear you speak and be as positive and really in service to so many great people.
All right, we have to say thank you so much to Enter Talk Radio for having Girls Talk Rock on their programming and their network. And we want to thank Shele Sondheim for being here today.
Thank you.
Because he was a complete ray of light and friendship and happiness. And we just want to say thank you. And I'm Tracy Smith.
I'm Beth Venus.
And we are Girls Talk Rock. And we will see you next week. We're going to have the DeLuke brothers and Peter DeLuke Sr. And we got to talk about Benny Goodman and all kinds of good stuff. So we'll see you next week.
Joy to you all.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the Enter Talk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that.
SilverTigerProduction.com.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. Pitbull Audio.